Record fuel prices are hitting not just commuters, but also squeezing the trucking industry. Expensive diesel fuel is raising costs for businesses and consumers alike.
American drivers are feeling the pain at the pump as U.S. gas prices hit a record high of $4.67 per gallon on Wednesday.
It's $6.63 a gallon. I use 37 gallons and costing $251. 37 gallons. It's a lot.
The price of diesel, which fuels most trucks, are also hitting new highs, rising about 70% from a year ago.
So obviously it is squeezing the profits, and I don't see a short-term end to it. I think these elevated prices will continue. Hopefully we're getting somewhere near the peak.
Roadstar runs a fleet of about 25 trucks delivering goods in Northern California. It passes most of the increase to its customers through a fuel surcharge, but prices have risen so fast that it must absorb some of the cost.
Unfortunately for the public, when diesel prices are so elevated, we have to pass that through. There's just no other way to do it. That will ultimately be reflected in the prices that the consumer pays, and that's part of the increase in the cost of food and everything else.
Ramarino worries that the price of fuel could increase so much that his customers can no longer afford trucking services.
California counties are officially declaring the start of fire season, but wildfires have already been igniting throughout the state. Some lawmakers are proposing to increase the number of firefighters to battle the blazes.
Firefighters are fighting a bushfire that is burning in the heart of California's Napa County. Named the Old Fire, it's about 570 acres and 45% contained as of Thursday morning. Though wildfires have already struck the state this year, CAL FIRE activated local fire restrictions last week, officially marking the start of fire season.
Back in February 2020, we were able to rely on inmate labor, inmate firefighters. We're down 4,200 inmate firefighters from a decade ago. It's time that we finally fix this shortage.
As fires burn across the state, the agency is preparing for another understaffed fire season.
It's the health and safety of the men and women on the front lines, not going home, whether they're on a fire or in a station protecting one of our 120 cities that we are responsible, or our 32 counties that we also are responsible for. All of them stuck on duty 30, 40 days plus, whether seeing devastating towns like Paradise or the Tubbs, or running medical aids and seeing death and tragedy there.
But a group of bipartisan lawmakers has a proposal to strengthen the state's firefighting capacity.
We're proposing to hire 356 new full-time firefighters to get full staffing on its fire engines. Now, the United States Forest Service, they have 3 people on their engines. Most local municipal departments, they have 3 firefighters on their engines. CAL FIRE, 2.7.
Senate Bill 1062 also proposes adding over 1,100 firefighters in the long term.
CAL FIRE only achieves 3 people per engine when forced overtime is implemented. 3 firefighters on an engine would become a new mandated minimum in the state of California with this bipartisan legislation.
The bill is also mandating 16 additional hand crews that will be 48 firefighters strong.
And down in San Diego, our firefighters are either traveling across the state to go help other firefighters, or firefighters are traveling all the way down to San Diego to help us. This measure at Senate Bill 1062 will help save the lives of the men and women who help save our lives.
Lawmakers said the biggest reason for pushing this bill is health and safety concerns. According to the U.S. Fire Administration, 2022 has already seen 5 on-duty firefighter fatalities and 48 civilian fire fatalities. SB 1062 still needs to pass both the Senate and Assembly before Governor Gavin Newsom can sign it into law.
The mayoral election in one Orange County city has become controversial. A lawyer and author explains why a measure that would give a mayor more power could be a problem, along with a very recent and very nearby precedent.
Walter Starr, a lawyer and author, explained controversy around the upcoming Newport Beach mayoral election to California Insider's Siyamak Korami. It revolves around Measure B, which would allow for a direct election of the mayor.
One of the sort of bits of the fine print of this measure, which is unusual, is to give the mayor essentially complete control of the agenda. At the moment, the agenda in Newport Beach is developed by the city manager. That's the system in most cities. If this measure passes, Newport Beach would be the only city in Orange County where the mayor is the primary author of the agenda each week for the city council.
Measure B would lengthen the term of the mayor from a year to at least 4 years and change the powers of the mayor. Currently, the city council of 7 selects its mayor.
So for me, that collegiality, being governed by 7 people rather than being governed by 1 people, is a key feature of the current system.
Starr is among those who are against Measure B because they worry there could potentially be corruption. One recent example of mayoral corruption he referred to is former Mayor Harry Sidhu from the neighboring city of Anaheim. He was accused of sharing confidential information to the Angels baseball team during stadium sale negotiations to receive campaign contributions for his re-election.
If Measure B passes, I fear that the same outside money will elect a friendly mayor and will then perhaps get through proposals which otherwise wouldn't get through.
Starr hopes people would read into each agenda when they vote.
White County in Northern California is virtually taking a new step to training law enforcement. Just a warning, the story contains simulated gunfire and a very angry civilian. NTD's David Lam gets an inside look at the new program.
We're at a new training facility in San Mateo County, and the Sheriff's Department is unveiling a new training system that's entirely done through a virtual simulation.
Release the slide forward, and now this is ready to use in our simulator.
The scenarios start by locking in the non-firing weapons. Here, it's an assault rifle and pistol.
Right side, right side. Suspect. You got a shot? Drop the weapon. Drop the weapon with me.
This has been in the works for several months, and just last week we finally were able to get it up. The folks from Virtua came in here, installed it for us, and walked us through how to use it, how to train the deputies and officers who will be using it.
Law enforcement demonstrated how the Virtua 300 series simulator works on Thursday morning. The Sheriff's Office said they're always looking for the best practices, training, and technology to achieve public safety.
In 2021, there were 61 active shooter incidents, an increase of over 50% from the previous year, and nearly a 97% increase from 2017.
The sheriff hopes the training will provide extra training to law enforcement, especially with the recent mass shootings.
My personnel are trained to immediately go in, as I said earlier, and neutralize that threat. I can't in good conscience allow them to do that without making sure they have the best training and the best equipment possible.
This system consists of 5 screens that surround the trainees in 300 degrees. He says they are the first law enforcement to use this technology in California.
And it will be available to all San Mateo County law enforcement agencies, as well as those state and federal agencies that wish to use it.
Bolano says the system costs $60,000 a year to lease. He hopes to utilize the system about 3 to 4 times each year.
Where is he? Where is he? Where's the shooter? Watch around.
The system includes hundreds of scenarios from active shooter, de-escalation, non-escalation, and compassion skills. Those situations will be updated once a year.
No, sir. You're right. You know who I am? You better back off. Yeah, absolutely. We'll give you plenty of space, sir. We're just trying to learn a little bit more about... You know who I am? That's who I am! You don't know who I am, do ya? Hey, no worries. What's your name? What's your name?
It's alright, you seem to know what you're doing. You seem to know more than most. You're okay. Keep up the good work.
The laser.
NTD paired up with another journalist in an escalating scenario regarding a man speaking to himself.
All right, take it easy. You don't shoot. Just take it easy. I'm complying.
We're not going to hurt you. All right, yeah. Were we supposed to arrest him? I wasn't sure.
There's variety and flexibility to the scenarios, with operators monitoring the system. The outcomes vary depending on the course of actions from the trainees. But a sergeant says he doesn't think the tech would be able to replace real-life training.
However, there are a lot of circumstances where we can't, for example, take over a mall for a day and introduce all these different kinds of stimulus, people running around. It just would be, frankly, it's unrealistic to do, it's also unsafe. So it will never take over any live training, but it's a great complement to it.
Each simulation can run anywhere from 5 to 15 minutes, testing officers' reflexes and decision-making skills. The goal is to get everyone in the sheriff's office trained. David Lamb, NTD News, California.
The mayor of San Francisco announced that she plans to end trans homelessness by 2027. But one author says it's discriminating and keeps homeless people on the streets.
San Francisco Mayor London Breed is proposing a 2-year, $6.5 million budget to end homelessness for transgender San Franciscans in 5 years. The investment would include housing subsidies, behavioral health and social services, and a permanent supportive housing site for trans and LGBTQ youth. In a statement, Breed said the city will ensure all San Franciscans have access to housing and essential resources through continued investments and be a leader in supporting trans communities. But not everyone thinks it's a good idea. Michael Schellenberger, author of San Francisco and gubernatorial candidate, says the plan would discriminate against non-trans people and keep homeless on the streets.
So she's assuming that people are going to stay on the street for another 5 years. This is outrageous.
Schellenberger says as governor, he will require people to sleep inside.
This may come as a surprise to some, but according to a new study, thanking your co-workers reduces their stress. Researchers monitored the heart-related stress of people before they were given a near impossible task, and how a simple thank you seemed to make all the difference.
According to a study from UC San Diego's Rady School of Management, thanking teammates reduces their stress. Their research found that teammates who thanked each other before taking on high-stress tasks showed better heart rate-related stress responses than other groups who didn't. The study's results were taken from an experiment with 200 participants. Individuals were paired in teams in loose-tie relationships like coworkers. Each pair was given an essentially impossible task. The results showed that a simple expression of gratitude effectively eliminated the threat response. It also led to increased concentration and more confidence, which in turn can allow individuals to give their peak performance. Christopher Ovius, the senior author of the study and associate professor of economics, emphasized how it influences work performance. He said gratitude expressions may not only be key to managing daily stress, but also turn stress into a productive tool. He added that expressing gratitude is also a fundamental part of strengthening work relationships.